Good morning. Um, I just want, I just wanted to introduce Alika San. She is here to talk to us about Ayurveda, something that I'm sure you've heard of, I've heard of, and I don't really know what it is. So we're going to learn a lot. She's open to questions. When we get to them, get to questions, feel free to ask. And Ali, if you can just tell us a little bit about your background, that would be great
Sure.
too. Thank you.
All right, making sure everyone, okay, good. Everyone can hear me. All right, hi everyone, I'm Allie. I'm originally from Canada and I've been here since 2019. And what found me on my journey into yoga and Ayurveda is how most people in the West discover this, is the yoga practice. So I was working in the corporate world in actually Barbados. I was living in the Caribbean and I started to get the old that going on because I'd be at my desk every single day. Somebody suggested yoga, so I Googled yoga and I found, unfortunately, my teacher was incredible. Coincidentally enough, she's actually from Redondo Beach originally, so it's this weird little synced moment. But anyway, she was a fantastic teacher. She really dove deep into yoga past a physical practice. So that really opened up a lot of doors for me. It inspired me to travel to India to do my yoga training. And it was there in 2019 that I discovered Ayurveda because it's very intertwined, as Ayurveda comes from India. So that's when I dove deep into Ayurveda and a light bulb went off and I said, wow, this is the way. So I came back and I've been studying it for the last 5 years, practicing it. I have a yoga studio in Manhattan Beach, just across from Manhattan Village on Sepulveda, part of a collective. There's acupuncturists there, there's energy healers there, there's tons of like Eastern medicine modalities there, and then I practice my Ayurveda out of there as well. So that's just where I'm at with it. I just really love this. It's really changed my life, and I've seen it change other people's lives, and it's just been such an incredible journey. So I'm really just grateful for everyone being here and allowing me to share. It just makes me so happy to be able to just talk about what I'm so passionate about. So first of all, does anybody not know what Ayurveda is at all? Has anyone heard of it? Everyone's heard of it a little bit? Couple, yeah, it's making its way into the West a little bit more. We're hearing of the herbs. Ashwagandha is becoming a very mainstream herb now. So we're hearing about little things now. So basically today I'm going to go through a lot of information. I'm going to try to keep it as basic as possible. It is a lot of information, and for the first time hearing it, your head is probably going to spin, as mine was too. So I just really want to invite everyone, take a couple deep breaths in and just really center yourself, and don't get frustrated if things aren't clicking. Just be open to receive what I'm planting today for you guys, and something might land 6 months from now. You might be like, that's what that girl was talking about. And also, if you write your email down on the list that's going around, I'm going to email everyone this copy of the presentation so you can go back to it and kind of have a guideline. Also, feel free, when I email everyone out, feel free to message me if you'd like to learn more. We can do a consultation, or I'm just an open book. If you want to come try a yoga class, you're more than welcome to. And yeah, we'll just go from there. So yeah, I teach yoga at a little studio just up the road. Lovely, good, nice yoga. It's not the crazy yoga that you think it is in the studios. So my yoga studio is just on Sepulveda, across from Manhattan Village Mall. There's right near the XR, the urgent care. It's right next door to there. There's a little area, so that's where my studio is. And I can email everyone my class schedule and everything. So, all right, so let's dive into Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is a Sanskrit term. Ayur means life or longevity. Vedas means knowledge or science. So you put it together and it is the knowledge of life, the science of life. And it originates in India, and it dates back, they say 3,000 years, but there's actually some scriptures that have been found from up to 7,000 years ago. So it's actually the oldest dated medical system in the world, and it comes out of India. And it places a great emphasis, as most Eastern medicine does, on prevention of illness, not treating the symptom when you become ill, but treating the root cause of the problem and like dealing with that. It's based on the belief that it's a very delicate balance between mind and body. So anytime I have a client that comes in who's having sleep issues and they're having erratic thoughts or panic disorders, I always look at the gut health. I'm like, what is going on in the gut? Same as goes when people come in with a gut issue. I always look at what's happening in the mind as well. It's interchangeable together. So it's a mind-body thing. And it's also a connection with the natural law as well. So it tunes us with the rhythms of nature is what basically Ayurveda does. It's living with the natural laws of everything. So it views our bodies as delicate ecosystems that are influenced by everything we consume as far as energy, conversations, food, everything we consume has an impact on our body physically, mentally, emotionally. Most of the time our physical symptoms show up as something emotional that's been stored in the body. Sometimes it's through diet, exercise, lack of exercise, improper imbalances of life, and also going against the natural rhythm of law. So how the world works and how nature works, we go against it. A good example is artificial lighting. So back long time ago, they used to go to bed with the sun, wake up with the sun. And now we are staying up till 10, 11 with our screens. And that's an example of going against the natural law. So everything that we consume through our body impacts us through our senses, through our eyes, through our ears, through our nose, and we have to digest that all. Everything gets digested through the body, so we want to make sure we are in balance and able to do that. So let's start breaking it down. Does anyone have any questions so far before I start going into the principles, the heavy stuff? Everyone understands? Okay. All right, so we're gonna go into the core principles. We're getting into a little more of the theory stuff. So I'll let you guys come up there so you can get them all. Okay, so this also runs alongside Chinese medicine with the elements. So the most basic building block of Ayurveda is the elements. And they are the 5 great elements in the world. We call it Pancha Mahabhutas in Ayurveda. It's the foundation of every living being on this planet. Everything, even this podium, those chairs, the food we eat, the plants, animals, us as humans, we're made up of 5 elements. Even our earth that we are on is made up of 5 elements. And it's ether, air, fire, water, and earth. And those 5 elements make up everything on this planet. It's very important. That is the most basic first step into Ayurveda, is understanding those elements. So we'll pop through those a little bit. So ether, we're going to start at the most subtle one, and we're going to move into the most dense one. So ether is the most subtle, most expansive of the elements. Ether is the space around you. It's the untangible thing that we can't see. It's what's around us, basically. I still, after 5 years, don't know how to explain ether. It's basically just a very formless form of energy. And it's that what makes up our surroundings and around us, the vast openness that is us. This is found in the cavities of our body, so in our nostrils. It is found between the joints. Anywhere where there's a little bit of space, we're going to find ether. Same with space on the planet, we're going to find ether there. So it's very subtle. And then we move into air, which is a little more easy. They're gonna get easier to understand now. So the air element is the source of movement in the principle of motion, change, and activity. So you know the air because we have the wind on the planet, so that is what air represents. It's very subtle, but it's very powerful as well. And it influences everything from circulation in our body to thoughts, and regulates emotions, and most importantly, our nervous system. It's very light, dry, rough, subtle, very mobile as well. We know the wind can shift at any time. It moves very erratically, can also be very beautiful with the breeze. So that is the air element. And we find that in the intake of oxygen that we pull into our body, and also the expulsion of carbon dioxide, but it also regulates the flow of our blood and our lymph in our body as well. So if you get really cold hands or feet, typically that is an air element disturbance in your body, because it's not being circulated, the blood's not being circulated properly because the air is not moving everything around. And then we're going to move into fire. And fire is the powerful and transformative. We know fire. It represents heat, it represents metabolism, it represents the basically the blood you see flowing through you. There's a lot of fire in that blood element. It transforms food into nutrients, and it also is able to transform and metabolize everything you bring in. So if you've had a stressful day, a stressful conversation with somebody, it's that fire, that transformation that's going to know what to do with that, digest it, and send it through the body. It also regulates our body temperature as well. So if you run hot, if you're cold all the time, there's probably a disturbance with the fire element in your body. And it's associated with the determination. Anger can be associated with that too, because that's that heat and that fire. And then we move into water. So we're getting heavier and heavier. So water is the fluidity, the adaptability, and it plays a really crucial role in maintaining homeostasis in our bodies. It's present in all the bodily fluids, like your lymph, your reproductive fluids, plasma, saliva, mucus. That's all the water element in the body. And when you see it out in the earth, it's the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, and the streams. Really essential for digestion is the water element, because it really works well with the fire element to break down everything when it hits your stomach and your colon. Also helps regulate body temperature as well. And it's really important for moving toxins through the body through sweat, urine as well. So that's that water element. So you really want to make sure we have a lot of sweat going on, healthy sweat coming out, because that's the water element purging from the body. And then we're moving into the earth element, the most solid structure. We can symbolize this as our planet, the earth and the soil that we stand on. That is the earth element. It's really grounding. It's most solid, very structure to it. There's a lot of density to it. It has a lot of strength, a lot of endurance. And it's found in our bones, our muscles, tissues, the fascia, cartilage. It's just like the solid structure of your body. And that's where the earth is found. And those are the 5 elements. Does anybody have any questions about those? Did I lose anybody? Everyone's good? Okay. Sorry, this air quality is making my voice kind of raspy this week. Okay, so once we have those 5 elements, they make up the doshas. Has everyone heard of the doshas? So when you refer to Ayurveda, you're always going to hear the word dosha, 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 dosha. And there are 3 doshas in Ayurveda, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And you're going to hear that now for the rest of my presentation. It's what my husband hears every day, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So you take those 5 elements and you put air and ether together and you're going to make Vata. And then you take fire and water together, you're going to make Pitta. And you take water and earth and you're going to make Kapha. So water does share those same elements as Pitta, Kapha, but then air, fire, and earth are the dominant ones for those 3 doshas. So Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata is the energy of movement. It's our nervous system. Fire is the energy of transformation, digestion, and metabolism. And Kapha is the energy of lubrication and structure. Sanskrit, yeah. So this is all Sanskrit, the terms, and that is what yoga and Ayurveda, everything translates to English. And then we're going to move into just a quick note here, because once I start describing the doshas, everyone's going to be like, I'm a Pitta, I'm Pitta. But then you hear Kapha and you're like, I'm a Kapha. And then you get really confused. And then anyway, so I'm just going to explain something really quick so everyone has a good understanding. So in Ayurveda, there's something called the Prakriti. That is your constitution. So when you are born, it's predetermined what those balance of those energies are. So think of Vata, Pitta, Kapha as just energies in your body. They're not tangible, you don't see them, but they work together as energy in your body. And when you're born, you take some from the genetics of your parents, you take some from, in Hinduism, they believe in past lives and reincarnation. So you take some of those karmas of your past life. You also take into consideration Jyotish, which is the placement of the planets when you're born as well, because the planets also have their own elements and their own doshas and their own energy, and they're also playing effect on our planet. So it's also playing effect on us. So that is our natural constitution. The moment you are born, your doshas are determined in your body. That is your constitution. That never changes throughout life, and that is what you are. I'm the perfect example of a Vata dominant constitution. You can see long, long, long limbs. That is Vata. You see a Pitta person, I can see everyone right now. I know exactly what your dominant element is and dosha is, but that is what you are throughout life. That never changes. You have a little bit of everything though. So you do have, everyone has vata, pitta, kapha in them. What you need to determine is, what is it? What is my dominant dosha? What is my secondary dosha? What is my third dosha? Sometimes people have, if you look at it like a graph, sometimes people have very vata, pitta, kapha, very close as well. Some people have a lot of the same qualities. Some people have dominating qualities, but that is your constitution. And that's very unique to just you. And that's why I love Eastern medicine, because there's no boxes to put people in. Like, and I love Western medicine, don't get me wrong, there's such a place for it in this world, but there's a lot of boxes that people get put in based on their symptoms. But Ayurveda treats you as you, and you're all unique individuals, and that is your constitution, and that is how you would get treated at an Ayurvedic clinic, is based on you, and you're like no other. So the Vikriti is then the imbalance. So throughout life, because of stress, diet, improper lifestyle, trauma, anything that happens, our doshas go out of balance. And then that becomes the Vikriti, the imbalance. So what the goal is to get people from the imbalance back to their balanced state of dosha, so that they're working in perfect harmony with each other, the whole body. So that is two things, important things. So we're going to, I don't know why that did that. We're going to break down the doshas a little bit and just kind of have everyone a better understanding of it. So vata dosha, we'll talk about that. Vata, made of air and ether. It controls bodily functions associated with motion, blood flow, breathing, heartbeat, movement of thoughts through the mind, and most important, the nervous system. That is what the vata rules. Vata is a lot of wind in the body. It's a lot of that air element. Normally people with lots of vata in them are very slim and lean. They've got long bones, and they find it very difficult to gain weight throughout life. So you usually stay the same body weight. When you hear someone who said, oh, I've had these genes since I was in my 30s, that's a vata person, because they don't really change throughout their life. They have a very light and delicate build, very, very, very petite. Their eyes are small. They have a very quick gaze. You can see their eyes move a lot as well. There's a lot of fluctuations in the eyes and movement. They tend to run cooler, so if you've got to always see someone who's bundled up in sweaters or has an extra scarf, that is usually the vata of the world. They can be prone to a lot of gas, bloating, and a sensitive stomach. Anything with sensitivities to digestion, that is usually a vata person. Fast talkers, you can see me talking fast, very expressive. You can see I can't keep my hands down, that's vata. Often jump from topic to topic. You'll see me doing that too, because I just blah, 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 blah. My mom used to be like, she goes a million miles a minute. And it's like, no, it's just vata. Very adaptable though. They're the people who go with the flow. They're very curious about the world. They're very they have that wonder. I think they call them wanderlust people. They just want to know everything about the world. They want to know everything about everything. That's a very vata quality. They can be light sleepers. They may have issues falling asleep or staying asleep. They have a tendency to have anxiety as well, nervousness and a lot of fear. That tends to be the emotions that run alongside vata dosha. They're the quick and creative and imaginative people. You see a lot of artists. Those are a lot of vata energy. They're the out-of-the-box thinkers. They don't like being put in boxes. And the energy levels with vata people can fluctuate. So they can go from high to low, back to low, high. They're just all over the map. So that is the vata dosha. And then when vata, when vata becomes imbalanced in our body, now there's times where your vata can come out of balance. A really good example right now, my vata is a little bit out of balance right now because of the dryness that's been happening. So I notice it in my skin first. My knuckles get dry. I have a little bit of dryness on my lips. So that indicates to me that something's going on with my vata. So now I know, old Allie would have just put on lotion and chapstick and continued doing the things I was doing, and then it would get worse, worse, worse. But now I know how to pacify the vata through diet and through oiling myself and Ayurveda techniques. So that brings my vata down. But throughout your life, if your vata is becoming elevated and elevated over and over, and we don't do anything about it because we've never been taught, this is what kind of starts to happen. So we have the chronic issues that start to happen, or we have the acute issues. So when you have digestive issues, like constipation, gas, irregularities, that is all controlled by vata in the body. If you arthritis, that is a vata condition. Weakness, restlessness, any type of twitching in the muscles, the legs, restless leg syndrome is a big one that I've been dealing with lately with a lot of people. The jumpy legs at night, that's all vata controlled. Dry cracking joints, that's all vata. Migraines, insomnia or sleep issues, or just people who are very ungrounded, people who are very anxious, that is all vata dosha. And then for balancing vata, sorry, I don't know why my thing's not, okay. So to balance vata, so if anything I'm saying, you're kind of like, oh, that's me. So here's just a few things that you can do to help balance vata. Vata types love routine. Vata loves routine. It doesn't like to have breakfast one day at 9, and then breakfast the next day at 11, and then lunch at this time, and then dinner at this time, and then, oh, I'm gonna skip a meal here. It doesn't like that. It likes routine. It likes to know when its next meal is coming. It likes to know when its bedtime is coming. It doesn't like erratic things like that, because that's what vata is, right? It's the erratic energy. So it likes to be grounded, so you play the opposite effects into it. So it likes warming and calming. It consumes warm, moist foods. So if you're feeling like you're ungrounded or your digestion's a little off, don't go eat a salad, a cold raw salad. Have warm things in your belly, because the vata is a very cold quality, a very dry quality. So have something warm, have something cooked, have something very grounding and nourishing in the body. Establish morning routines and regular routines, especially around sleeping and eating. And practice calming activities like yoga, swimming, hiking, meditation, deep breathing, hikes in nature. Vata loves the hikes in nature. And then keep exposure to the cold down as well. I see people, I used to do it too, but like when there's windy outside, put they're called toques in Canada. I don't know what they're called here. A beanie? A beanie maybe? A beanie? A hat, yeah. Like cover your ears up if there's a wind, cover your shoulders up, have something around you, because the vata does not like that coldness on you. So bundle up, put socks on in the winter when it's cold. That is going to help with the vata dosha. And then just warm, cooked, easy, digestible foods. What vata loves: basmati rice, oats, quinoa, mung beans, tofu, almonds, ghee, sesame seeds, sweet potatoes, carrots, beets, squashes, zucchini, anything that grows underground. It's a very grounding thing, so that's really good for vata. So the beets and the squashes, so anything under there, that's very grounding foods, and you cook that nice and warm, and vata just loves that in your belly. Bananas, mangoes, sweet berries, cooked apples, pears, and grapes. So those are just kind of foods that vata likes, just to give you a little bit of an idea for vata dosha. Any questions on vata before I move on to pitta? So the question was, are Ayurvedic people always vegetarian? So it's a good question. Depends who you ask. Sometimes light meats like chicken and fish are prescribed to a lot of elderly people with really high vata cases. The problem with meat is that it's very hard to digest, and we're going to get into Agni soon. We're going to get into the digestive system, and meat's hard to break down. If you're looking from another Ayurvedic point of view, the more yoga philosophy point of view, one of the branches of yoga is ahimsa, meaning causing no harm to others. So you don't eat animals, you don't eat another living being. So that is why you would have the plant-based diet. Ayurvedic medicine, in the scriptures, it has been prescribed goat, I think lamb, fish, milk products are in there as well. So there is stuff used as medicine. That was also, the scriptures were also written thousands of years ago when people kept their own cows and their own meat on there. They grew their own, well, not grew their own animals, but they had their own animals on their farm. So it was more of a rancher homestead type thing, whereas nowadays we don't know, like our meat is coming from huge processed factories with, it's not the same as it was, and that's very inhibiting to our digestion. So I recently, my mom, I actually have her on a fish. I have her on a white fish a day, so because she has a really high Vata case, so I have her on that protein. But typically, we do suggest a vegetarian diet, just because meat is very hard to break down. Also, jump into the next topic. Um, there's something in yoga and Ayurveda called prana. It's called chi in some, I think it's called chi in Chinese medicine. It's energy, it's the force. So in yoga, Ayurveda, it's called prana. And prana is the energy that moves through us. And there's three types: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva is a very upward flow of energy. It's what we want. We want to be in sattva. That's unaffected. You're just going through life like nothing bothers you. That's sattvic energy. Rajas is the more moving energy. You see that in onions and garlic. It can kind of go either way, up or down. And then tamasic is very heavy things. So it's like things that bring the energy down, which is like processed foods, alcohol, things like that. That's very downward energy. And meat is actually included in there as well, especially the heavy red meats. It's a very downward flow of energy. All the food has that prana in it as well. So the fruit, the vegetables, things that are grown from the earth have higher prana in them. So those are the foods you do want to eat. So, but I never discourage anybody from doing anything. I never push anybody. I believe we're all on our own journeys and we need to find what works for us. So I always just encourage, but I never push or anything. So, but yeah, it's mostly vegetarian is what it comes down to, long story short. Any other questions about anything before I move on to pitta?
This maybe you're going to talk about this. You'll be maybe going to talk about this. What about prescriptive drugs when you've got some of the problems that you've mentioned?
So ideally, in the perfect world, we wouldn't need them because we would start this from a young age and we would never need them, but we don't, we do. So I believe that Ayurveda, Eastern medicine, works beautifully with Western medicine. They intertwine together. I do tell people, if your doctor isn't helping you get off the prescription pills, if he's not asking about diet, if he's not asking about lifestyle, if he's not bringing in anything, like just wants to give you a pill and then, oh, it's not working, we're going to raise the dosage, we'll give you another pill. I don't like that. What I like is take the pills as you need them, but then let's look at other options as well. I work with a lot of cancer patients, not to cure their cancer, but to work alongside their cancer plan with the Western doctor to help their chemotherapy go a little bit better, to help them bring their body into balance. So really good example, my brother just went on cholesterol pills and he's on the cholesterol pills, he's gonna be on them, but he also is now working with me. We're gonna get him eventually, hopefully off the cholesterol pills, but we'll see. But definitely making switches in diet and lifestyle. So, but yeah, I never discourage people I never ever tell people to stop taking their pills. And if I do prescribe herbs to people, I always make sure they check with their doctor as well. So, but it does run beautifully together, but I think they need to run together and we need to, work together and get that going. But if you're on prescription pills of any sort, keep taking them, but then I'm going to be giving you guys lifestyle and diet tips. You can start incorporating that right away and you'll feel better eventually, and you can still take your pills too. So any other questions before we go into pitta? All right, so pitta is our fire and our water. It's associated with heat, transformation, and intensity. Pitta rules the metabolism. It rules the digestion and energy production. So it sits in your digestive system. So it turns everything you bring in into nutrients and toxins and then expels out the waste and absorbs the nutrients. Pitta-type people, they're the more medium build people. They build muscle easily. They're very athletic. You can see the pitta person, their weight fluctuates. So you can gain 10 pounds and then lose 10 pounds, gain 5 pounds, lose 5. The people who say, oh, I'm always between like 125 or I'm between 140 and 150 my whole life and I just fluctuate. That's that pitta energy that does that to you. They have very warm skin. They're very warm people. They have like a reddish color. They're prone to rashes they're prone to acne. They're prone to anything you see on the skin. They have a lot of heat there. They're often oily in the skin. They have lots of freckles as well. That's the pitta energy in the body. Their hair is fine, soft. In the graying, premature graying is caused by pitta. They're bright, sharp, penetrating eyes. They're very intense people. You know a pitta person right away when you meet one. They're very intense appetite. They're the ones that just, the food goes in front of them and it's just, they just start eating it. That is pitta. They're also the ones that become irritable when you don't feed them as well. That is pitta. Gotta feed the pittas. They're very rushed as well. They're very just, let's get this done. Like that is that pitta energy. They get really hot easily as well. They're the people who are just warm, warm, warm all the time, and they can be uncomfortable in hot weather as well. Very sharp-minded though, very intelligent. That pitta energy is so just intelligent. They are the engineers. They're like everything has a reason. Whereas vatas are the more floating around. The pittas are no, this is what the critical thinking, that's what they excel at. Very competitive as well. So the emotional tendency for a pitta, they tend to lean more towards anger, impatience, and frustration. So while as vatas are kind of the anxious, nervous ones, pittas are the angry, fiery ones. And they have high energy, so vatas' energy fluctuates up and down all over the map. Pittas are just up, 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 and then they burn out. And then they're really, really prone to burnout. So that's the pitta people of the world. So when pitta gets imbalanced, what we see is they become argumentative, short-tempered. Anybody who's just being difficult, that is a elevated pitta. There's too much heat in the body. They get a lot of acid reflux, indigestion, that's pitta. Red eyes, a lot of skin rashes too. If you see I see a lot of skin issues, that's just too much pitta in the body. Burning sensations in the body, whereas vatas get cold, pittas get hot. They get the burning. They tend to go for nauseousness. Anytime you wake up and feel nauseous or you feel nauseous, that's just pitta. And they have excessive sweating. They sweat all the time. And then when out of balance, they have a lot of body odor. That's when we get the smells, the breath smells. That is elevated pitta in the body. And then to balance pitta, we want to stay in cool, calm environments, avoiding direct sunlight, especially in the summer months, as much as we can. Practice calming activities. Swimming, biking, yoga, gardening is so good for pittas. Leisurely walks as well. Pittas are the type of people where I have a restorative yoga class, which is you don't do anything in it, you lay there. And I have a guy who I'm forcing to come, a client of mine, he's a high pitta, and he just is like, he feels he just needs to be like at the gym, just, and he's like, that's what the pitta wants, but what he needs is calm. You gotta slow that down. Pitta is really important. You need to set boundaries for work. You need to prioritize rest time. You have to schedule that rest time, and pittas will not do that. Reduce caffeine, tobacco, alcohol, and fried foods. Those are very heating, so that's going to contribute to the heat. And then just having a cooling, calming, balancing diet. So vatas is very warming, grounding. Pittas is very cooling. Some foods are rice, oats, barley, wheat. Couscous is so good for pitta types. Red lentils. You're going to see mung bean. It shows up on all three doshas. It's one of the highest sattvic foods in Ayurveda. Mung beans are so lovely to eat. Sunflower seeds, apples, pears, cucumber, aloe vera juice, coconut water, coconuts, asparagus, celery, leafy greens are very cooling for pitta. Zucchini, cilantro is also very good for pitta. Parsley, sweet potatoes, and bitter melon as well. Bitter melon, so good for pittas. And so you just focus on the cooling foods, anything that's gonna have that opposite effect to the heat in the body. Any questions on pitta? Is everyone starting to kind of see the difference between the doshas? All right, so let's get into the third and final dosha, kapha. Kapha is made of earth and water. It's associated with stability and the structure of our body. It governs everything, so it's the bones, the muscles, the tissues. It's what builds you. It makes you a structure. It's the most subtle dosha. Kapha types are usually solid, stocky, and they're heavier built. And when I talk about Kapha, I'm not talking about overweight people or larger people. I'm talking about just the build of people. They have bigger set bones, wider set hips. That is Kapha energy. Kapha, they tend to gain weight easily and they lose weight slowly. So that's the Vata stays the same, Pitta goes up and down easily, Kaphas, they gain it easily, and then it takes them quite a while to get that energy off. Their hair is very thick and like lustrous and gorgeous. They have the long curly, when you see someone with just the most beautiful thick curly hair, that's Kapha. They have the most lovely hair. They have long eyelashes and big eyes. So Kapha's it's the most beautiful dosha. We all want Kapha dosha in us. They're very calm as well. You know when you're talking to a Kapha person because they just speak like very soft and I can't even do it because I'm too much Vata, but they speak so calm. Their voice doesn't change. They're so like, when you're in the presence of someone with a lot of Kapha because they are just the most calming energy. They're so grounded. They do have a very slow metabolism and a very steady metabolism as well, but it's slow. And their energy levels are, they're consistent, but they're very slow moving, but they have great stamina. So you've got to like poke Kapha to get them going. And then once you get them going, they're fine. They're very patient. They're very soft-spoken, very grounded, really good memory. Kapha holds on to a memory. That is the Kapha energy. They can be prone, though, to attachment issues, possessiveness, and emotional stagnation. You see a Kapha type, a lot of resistance to change with a Kapha person, someone who's been in, a same job for 30 years, and they just, same house, same city, that's a very Kapha energy. The Vata energy wants to get out of there and like see everything, whereas the Kapha wants to be at home and cozy. They're very deep and heavy sleepers. Those are the Kapha types. When Kapha becomes out of balance, you see a lot of fluid retention and weight gain, a lot of allergies, a lot of congestions, people with sinus issues, asthma, hay fever, that's all Kapha energy. Diabetes, depression, that's all associated with Kapha. And just the tendency to hold on to things as well, hold on to relationships too long, hold on to things that aren't good for them. They don't want to let that go. That's that Kapha energy. And then stubbornness and resistance to change. That's all Kapha. And then balancing Kapha is engaging in regular, vigorous movement. So the Pittas, we want to calm down. The Kaphas, we want to encourage them to move. We want to get them going. I always encourage, I have yoga classes all week, and they're specifically for each dosha. So my Saturday morning flow class is for Kaphas. Like, you're going to get moving in that class. That's what you need to do. You need to move that Kapha energy. Incorporate new experiences, getting them out of their comfort zone. I always tell people, if you're a Vata type and a Kapha type, be best friends with each other, because the Vata will get the Kapha out of their comfort zone, and the Kapha will ground the Vata. They make the perfect best friends. Wake up early, force yourself out of bed, because Kaphas are the ones that like to sleep late, and also avoid napping as well. You want to favor warm, sunny environments over damp, cold ones to counteract the qualities of Kapha, and focus on foods that are light and dry, warming, but also energizing. The food that you loves Kapha, barley and millet. Those are the best things for Kapha. Leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, peppers, radishes. So those heating foods that are going to invigorate them. Black pepper, pomegranates, cherries, berries, lentils. There's that mung dal again, black beans and chickpeas. And avoid dairy if you're a Kapha, because Kaphas don't do well with dairy. If you have Kapha in your constitution, dairy is just not good for Kapha. And then minimize fats as well. We're going to be talking about ghee shortly, but minimize coconut oil, mustard oil. So you don't want too many fats when you're a Kapha, because you are prone, you already have that element in you or as much. So that is Vata. So any questions about the doshas before we move in?
What is the similarity between the Western typology? Is it a personality type?
So the doshas are physical, they have their physical attributes, but they also have the psychological attributes as well. So they can rule the mind and the body. I don't think it translates to anything in the Western world. Yeah, I don't think there's anything like the doshas. Nothing's really described like, I mean, I can give you, if you give me a Western disorder, I can tell you what that dosha is. I can translate it back to Western, but I don't think there's anything that translates from the West to the East for it. So,
Can a person have a mixture of all three types? Okay.
your constitution can be, we have all three in us, yes. I wish, actually, so random, my sister-in-law was supposed to be here this weekend, but they did canceled because of the fires, but she is a perfect balance of Vata Pitta Kapha, my sister-in-law. She has equal amounts of Vata Pitta Kapha in her, and I love her body. You can just see it, you can see everything in her body. It's hard because, like, for me, I am so dominant Vata, so it's just there. So it'd be nice to see her, because yes, you can have equal amounts of everything. You can have some pitta more than others. So a lot of times, like, your physical body might kind of look like one dosha, but then your digestion might correlate with another, but then your mind might be more kapha. You might be like, well, I tend towards that sluggishness and those, the holding on to things. So yeah, you can have a little bit of everything. It's all combined. Everyone's good? Am I losing anybody too much? All right, so now that we understand the doshas a little bit better, we're going to talk about the seasonal influences. It's really important to understand that while the doshas rule our body, they also are dominant during seasons as well. So then once you understand that, you can start to adapt per season. For example, right now I'm pacifying Vata because we're in Vata season, but I also have Pitta as my secondary dosha. So in the summertime, I ignore Vata and I pacify Pitta because that dosha is ruling that season. So they're influenced by the seasons as well. So each dosha is dominant in that, and it's important to just understand this to maintain balance and health. So Kapha dosha is late winter and early spring. So we are I guess we're in Kapha right now. We're kind of moving into Kapha right now. Pitta is in the summer, and Vata dosha is the fall and the early winter. So those are the seasons, and then you can kind of adjust diet. And the easiest thing I tell people is just shop locally at the markets. That's all the foods that are in season. So that's all the foods that are going to pacify that dosha for that season. If you get choked up on that. Okay, so Kapha dosha is late winter, early spring. The accumulation of moisture and the cold during these seasons, it matches those qualities of Kapha. So this is when you're going to see an increase of the Kapha dosha. And even if you are Vata dominant, Pitta, and then Kapha, everyone is going to feel that Kapha dosha in the spring. Some people are going to feel it more if they have more Kapha in them. Some people are going to feel it a little bit less if they have less Kapha in them. So in the spring, you want to favor light, warm, well-spiced foods, engage in regular physical activity to counteract the heaviness, reduce oily, sweet, cold foods, and make sure you're sweating in the spring every day. And also spring's a really good time to get rid of the heaviness. So I tell people to purge their houses in the spring, go through room by room, get rid of the accumulation, get rid of all of that.
Yeah.
And then Pitta is the summer. It's the easiest one to think because it's the fiery of summer days. The fiery matches the fiery Pitta. So we often see a lot of overheating in the summer, a lot of fast digestion. So in the summer, you want to favor cool, hydrating foods like cucumber, watermelon, coconut water, and avoid the spicy, sour, salty foods. And I know it's so hard because it's the summer and you want to be like out enjoying like everything, but yeah, that stuff will actually increase heat in the body. Overly processed foods, alcohol, tobacco, red meats, and spending time in cool environments, and just avoiding strenuous in the summertime. When I see people like out running in the middle of summer at 12 p.m., I'm like, what are you doing? Stop that. Do that in the morning. So you just want to take it calm in the summer because you are going to counteract that Pitta dosha. And then Vata dosha, fall and early winter. Same thing as before, you just want to work on really pacifying Vata in the early fall and the early winter. You want to bring in those warm foods, bring in everything. And you notice it too, probably at the end of the summer, when it becomes a little bit chillier, you start to crave soups. Everyone starts making soups in the fall. That's just because you're naturally pacifying Vata in the fall. So that's when you'll want to do that. So now we're going to talk about Agni, which is separate. So we have the doshas, now we're going to talk about Agni. Agni is a term in Ayurveda. It's basically our digestive fire. So just picture like you have a wood-burning stove in the center of your gut. That is your Agni. And that is responsible for digestion, absorption, assimilation, and exhalation of everything you're bringing into the body. So when our Agni is burning nice and bright, the doshas are all working in sync with each other. We have a nice balance of body. Everything we bring in, we're able to digest and bring out. And it's not just through our mouths as well. It's everything we bring in through our eyes, our ears, all of our experiences. They have to be digested through the body. So if our Agni is disturbed or low, then it's not going to digest things properly, and then it's going to get stored into the body. Also, it can be too high as well. In a lot of high pitta cases, the Agni can be too bright and too fast, so it's burning everything off. So it's not allowing the nutrients to be absorbed. It's just taking things in, throwing it out of the body. So it's not allowing the experiences, the food, and everything to get digested properly. So we really want to make sure we are keeping our campfire, our wood stove, nice and kindled throughout the day. So here's a few tips for strengthening Agni. This is very important. So biggest thing I tell people, and this is things that we can all start doing right now, is start your day with warm water. So that's it, just warm water every day. Boil a cup of water, pour it in a cup, let it get to a comfortable drinking temperature, and just sip on that first thing when you wake up. Nothing else. You can start putting people ask about lemon and ginger and stuff, but you'd have to know your constitution for that. Just warm water. Everybody can drink warm water every morning. What that's going to do is it's going to clear out your system. It's going to stimulate your Agni, your fire. It's going to clear out any ama, that's because our body replenishes itself during the night, and all that stuff that's coming out, you want to clear it out, and the warm water is going to do that. It's going to kickstart your lymphatic system as well, and it's going to really help set you up for the day. It's going to make that Agni nice and bright. So just sip on that first thing in the morning. Everyone can do that first thing. After each meal, take a gentle walk. I say about 5 minutes. In Ayurveda, I think they say 158 steps, but just go for a gentle walk after your meal. I know a lot of people love to eat and then go lay on the couch because they're so full, but just go for a walk, just a quick walk, just to get everything moving. Avoid ice in drinks as well. This is also from Chinese medicine. Ice cold drinks are a no-no. Nothing cold. We want to keep our belly nice and warm. We want everything going in it to be warm and gentle. Minimize frozen foods, packaged foods, canned foods, and I know it's very hard. I sit here preaching, but it's hard. It's very hard, but it's just things that we think about, right? And also reheated food in the microwave. That's a no-no in Ayurveda. I know we love doing that here. It's just talking about that prana, that energy that we bring in through the food. All those foods don't have that prana in it. So while you're getting the nutrients, while you're getting the satisfaction of being full, you're not getting that energy into the body, that heightened energy. So, yes, my dear.
What is microwaving food?
So the question was, what does microwaving do? So microwaving zaps the prana, it kills the prana in the food. Leftovers as well can contain bacteria in it if they're kept for too long. But it also changes the prana energy in the food. So when I was saying about the sattvic foods, freshly cooked foods are high sattvic food, high vibrational foods. Whereas when you reheat it, especially in the microwave, it kills all that energy in it. So it's a very downward flow of energy in it. So I actually never grew up with a microwave. My mom never had one in the house. So I'm used to reheating food on the stovetop. So Ayurveda says don't reheat any foods, but Western world, sorry, that's not working. We don't have time. No one has time to cook 3 fresh meals a day. So my teacher said to tell people, if you must reheat foods, do it on low temperature on the stove top. So put it in a pot and reheat it on very low flame or a low temperature on the element. And that'll just heat it up slowly and it won't zap the prana super fast. So that is an option, an alternative option if you must reheat food, just to do it from low so that it's not. Toaster is good, yeah, toaster is good. Yeah, you're good. And then minimize caffeine, alcohol, refined sugars. And when I say minimize, I'm not saying that nobody can have any of this stuff ever again. I always say to follow an 80-20, 80% of what's good for the body, 20% of what's, the fun stuff, right? The cookies, the coffee and everything, so. And then just try to focus your diet that is full of colorful, fresh, seasonal fruits, vegetables, whole grains, pulses, clean food. Just try to have that in your diet and as much as you can. And that's gonna really help with your digestion. And then try to favor the warm, well-cooked or steamed foods. Raw vegetables and salads can be very cold, very gassy, a lot of air element to them, so they can be very harsh on your digestion. They can also inhibit it and delay the process of digestion. Same with ice drinks as well. They can also delay the process of it because your body's working harder to break down what's there. So you're just helping your body out by giving it something warm and nourishing. Raw salads can be tolerated by people who have high pitta. So if you're a high pitta, you can tolerate raw salads more because you do have that higher digestion. Also in the summer months, it is okay to have more salads in your diet because it's naturally, the pitta is higher in the summer. So, and then just avoid raw in the evenings. Dinner time is for cooked meals and warmth. We want to give that warmth to the body.
So what's your opinion about how late we should eat?
I'm getting into that soon, but if I don't get to that, breakfast should be consumed by 9 a.m. Dinner time, lunchtime is best between 12 and 2, and that should be your heaviest meal of the day between 12 and 2. And then dinner time, preferably by 6, but I 8, no later than 8 o'clock, but preferably by 6. I know it's hard because some people work. I work in the evenings. It's hard, but yeah, but just trying to keep those. The most important thing though is just keeping a routine of a meal time. Like if you are having your breakfast every day at 10 a.m., then have your breakfast every day at 10 a.m. Have your lunch at 1, or if you have your breakfast at 7, and try to have your dinner around the same time if you can, at least in that same little window. So, more for strengthening our Agni. So does anyone know any of these spices? Is anyone familiar with them? So these are, yeah, you do. So these are the Ayurvedic spices. They come from Ayurveda. Cumin, coriander, fennel, ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, clove, cardamom, and black pepper. Those are spices. And what you do is cardamom, yeah, it's a lovely, lovely spice. It's a very florally spice, very warming spice. But so in Ayurveda, we cook with this in our food. So just by adding this to your food, you're also helping your digestion system as well. So you're helping out your fire in your belly by having warm cooked foods and then adding these spices. It just makes everything a little bit easier. Your body's not working so hard to break down the food that you're giving it. So, So those are the spices. Try to eat 3 meals a day around the same time. Breakfast should be taken by 9, and then the heaviest meal between 12 and 2. And also a really important thing about eating, only eat when you're hungry as well. Don't just eat when you're hungry. I'd also eat in a very peaceful environment as well. I have a lot of clients that eat at their desk at work. They eat in the car, and even if you can't, just, sit before you eat, take 10 deep breaths, just calm yourself. Oh gosh, my husband loves to have the news on when we're eating, and I'm like, what are you doing? Because my eyes are trying to digest what I'm seeing on the news, and my body's trying to digest the food. It's just have your moment and really focus on the food. That is what your intention is, to just be with the food, and that's really going to help your digestion as well. No, those TV dinners that they brought in like the 50s or 60s, no. Also, try not to skip meals, even if you're busy or stressed. Just try to keep that fire fed. And just imagine you got that wood burning stove, it has to keep going. You have to keep kindling it. Consistent bedtime as well. It's really important to go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every day. That really helps with our circadian clock, which works in line with our digestion. I tell people, love you to be in bed by 10, wake up between 6 and 7. That's the ideal times for waking up and going to sleep. And then just exercise. We all know exercise is so important. And then just keeping stress low. And I know that's hard for some people and for everybody, but combat that with the deep breaths. Know when you're feeling elevated, take deep breathing, practice yoga, find what anchors you to kind of calming down your nervous system, what works for you. All right, so we're gonna get into the spices a little bit more. So turmeric, I'm actually not gonna talk about the quality because they all have the same quality. They all are anti-inflammatory, they all support immunity, they all support digestion, they all help with circulation, they all help with everything. The spreadsheet, so then you guys can go back and read these. Yes, my dear.
Can you combine them all in a multi-spice?
Yeah, so the question is, can we combine them all in a multi-spice? Yes, 100%, yes. I do a lovely blend that I have in the mornings, and it's cumin, coriander, fennel. They all work beautifully together. Turmeric, ginger, and a little bit of cardamom and cinnamon powder, and I have that as a powder form in hot water, and it's lovely. They all have their own superpowers on the side, and when they work together, they're even stronger. So when I email you all the spreadsheet, you can go back and look, because some of them do. For example, ginger is very heating, has a very heating quality to it. So pitta is very heating. So pitta types do need to be a little bit careful with ginger. In moderation, they need to have it. If you consume too much ginger as a pitta, it will raise the heat in your body. Same goes for coriander. Corianders can be very drying. So if a vata type in the winter consumes too much coriander, it could be very drying, but in moderation. But mostly the spices are good to have just all the time. They are medicine. And that's a picture of turmeric, if no one's ever seen fresh turmeric. Powder form is fine as well. And then there's just the rest of them. They all just help with everything: digestion, congestion, reducing blood sugar, stimulating circulation. They're just the super spices. I have that as like my medicine cabinet. And then again, you can use them as a spice blend. You can heat an oil in a pan, ghee, sesame oil, coconut oil, and then put the seeds or the powder in it and let it kind of cook and simmer, and then throw your dal in it, or if you're having chicken or fish, or if you're having veg, throw them in there and just kind of let that spice release into there. You can make it into a herbal tea. You can dry roast them as well. I like to take the seeds, dry roast everything, and then I blend it into a powder, and then I kind of just use that powder. I can sprinkle it on everything if you want. So there's a lot of ways to have the spices. It's just, you play around. It's fun to play around with them. All right, so we're gonna talk about ghee, because ghee is very important. Has anyone heard of ghee? Everyone's heard of ghee? All right, so ghee is clarified butter in Ayurveda, and it's considered highly beneficial and sacred substance. It's made because it removes the water in the milk and the solids from it. So if you're lactose intolerant, you can have ghee because it doesn't have it. It really promotes longevity in the tissues, and it lubricates everything. It also pulls deep-seated ama from the body. So anything that the body brings in that we can't digest, physically, emotionally, food-wise, if it doesn't get digested and expelled from the body, then it stores in our body somewhere. It finds a weak spot and it goes and lives there for a little bit. And then maybe 10 years down the road, you end up with something issue with there. So the ghee will pull some of that fat-soluble toxins out of there. It's a really good lubricator for joints and tissues, and it stimulates your Agni as well. So having ghee is really good. Really good for all three doshas, except kapha types need to minimize it because it is that heavy fat. Supports energy. It has the medium chain fatty acid, which means it's really good to digest, and it gives you that quick energy in the body. So it really helps to get the digestion process going. And it has a smoke point at 485, so it makes it really good for cooking without the harmful radicals that come from the oils. And it has a good source of vitamin A, D, E, and K, so we love that for the tissues. So ghee is lovely. I put ghee on everything. If I don't cook with it and I have like a hot soup or something, I'll just take a blob of ghee and put it on top of my thing and let it melt. I love, or if I have like oats, I just put ghee. It's just medicine. Sometimes if I haven't been having it in my diet, I'll just I'll melt some of it, let it get to room temperature, and I'll just have it as like a tablespoon of it just to get it in my body. It's just really good for you. So I said the word ama, so we're going to get into ama. Ama is basically toxins. It's a heavy, sticky substance that is actually formed through the undigested material that you haven't been able to digest. It tends to accumulate and block the channels of the body, causes a bunch of symptoms and conditions, and even disease sometimes. Poor diet, improper food combinations, heavy foods, cold or raw foods, processed foods, irregular sleeping patterns, just everything I talked about that is good to do, the opposite is what forms ama. And this doesn't form overnight. Like if you think I had a bad sleep last night, you're not forming ama right now. This is an accumulation of a lifetime of improper things. It takes a long time for this to produce in the body. And then we want to, so ama shows up on your tongue. If your tongue is really white in the morning, that's ama. If you have like a body odor, or if you're noticing like anything from the body, breakouts, that's all ama. It's all ama coming out. It's elevated doshas along with ama. And then to remove the ama, it's the same thing. You use the spices, you use the ghee, you use the physical activity, you use yoga, you sweat the body, you move the body. That's how we loosen the ama and get it out. So that's what we do. And then, what are we doing for time? So I'm gonna leave this just because you guys can read it when you go on your own. Dinacharya, it's called a daily routine. Really important in Ayurveda to have a daily routine, a daily ritual, something you do every morning when you wake up, or every evening before you go to bed, just to have those morning routines. Tongue scraping is a really important thing to do. I have that on there because it's so important. I think tongue scrapers are like, you can get a copper one for like $5. Has anyone scraped their tongue or heard of this? Yeah, so that's really good in the morning. First thing when you wake up, scrape your tongue. That gives a really good indication of what's going on in the gut as well. If you have some white coating at the back of your tongue, you know something's going on in your digestive system. It also scrapes off the ama. It also stimulates your digestion as well. It gets things moving to set yourself up for the day. So that's a really important thing to do. You can add that into your daily routine. You can also do anything on your daily routine. These are just the Ayurvedic things that they tell you to do. So everyone can go back and read this. It shows you how to do it, the benefits. And then this is the drinking the warm water as well. So you scrape your tongue, drink the warm water. I have here how you can have ginger and water, or lemon and ginger as well. I would just suggest warm water though. The warm water is just so good, and it's good for everybody. And then eliminating as well, not to talk about this too much, but it's really important that we're emptying our bowels every day. Hopefully when you wake up, right soon after you wake up, that's a sign of really good digestion and really good Agni. We should be going 1 to 2 times a day. It's not normal to go like my friend 3 times a week. That's not normal. There's something wrong with the digestion. We want to make sure we're clearing out the bowels, because that's the ama that we want to get rid of. So if you're not eliminating every single day, Then there's things, everything I've said so far, you start doing, it'll start to help that, definitely. Like drinking the warm water will start to help as well. Having the spices, the herbs, the warm foods, it'll help. So it'll eventually come back. But yes, that's a sign of good health. I do want to talk about Abhyanga because this is my favorite thing, and this is what has really been beneficial for me. So oiling, it's very weird in the Western medicine. We put lotion on. In Ayurveda, it's oil. We put oil on the body. The belief is that oil, you put it in your cars to help it run. You have to put oil in your body to help it run smoothly. Oil has a penetrating effect where it actually goes through our skin, picks up in the lymphatic system, and then it goes down even deeper into all the tissues, lubricates the joints. It also pacifies vata. That's the best thing because we do live in a vata-driven society. Everything that's coming at us is vata. We've got phones, cell phones, this, that, everything is just coming at us a million miles a minute. So that oil is a really good way to pacify that vata immediately. So giving yourself an oiling massage. I do my belly every morning. I do the soles of my feet at night, and I give myself a full body oiling every 3-4 times a week in the mornings. So I do that. You oil yourself. You can use sesame oil, coconut oil, or you can even go further and get like a herbed oil with actual Ayurvedic herbs in it. That's getting a little bit too much into it. So it really helps with circulation, helps with the nerve endings. It helps with reducing that ama from the body. It loosens it from the tissues. And then when you go and have a sweat after, it helps it pull out. Takes the impurities out of the body, lubricates the joints. Really good for sleep as well, and really good for also if you have a lot of accumulation or dryness in the body, it's going to help that immediately. So yeah, the Abhyanga has just been, I tell everybody to oil themselves. My teacher in India actually said, if you can get everybody doing something, get them drinking warm water every morning and oiling themselves. He said, everything else, if they don't want to do it, that's fine, but just have them oiling themselves. That's the most important, very important thing. So it's been so beneficial for me, and I've seen it with other people, so it's really good. So you can get yourself a nice oil. I tell people to get up in the morning, scrape your tongue, drink your warm water, warm up your oil, give yourself a massage, go for a walk, go do some yoga, go garden, journal, have a moment of peace, make a list for the day, whatever it is that resonates with you, go do that. Let the oil soak in, and then have a nice warm shower, warm bath, and then continue on with your day. So that's a really good example of a morning routine. We've probably heard of this, the neti pot. Everyone's heard of flushing their sinuses out. That comes from Ayurveda. I'm going to leave that there for everyone to read. Also, just a side note, really important to be doing this right now with the air quality. The stuff that's in the air, the microplastics, the everything that's been burnt, it's lodging ourselves into our tissues in our nose. So we really want to make sure we're cleansing out the nasal passage in the evenings, right now especially, but also we live in a city, so we are in the beach area, so the air is a little cleaner normally, but I usually like to rinse my nasal cavity out about 3-4 times a week in the mornings. It really helps with sinuses. It really helps to harmonize the body. So that's neti, and then we have nasya. So neti in the morning, nasya in the evening. This is a little weird for people, but I promise it's lovely. It's drops that go up your nose at night. So how we oil the outside of our body, we're going to oil the inside of our nasal cavity. And what it's going to do is it goes in, comes up around, and then it drips down into the shoulders and then down through the sides of the body. So it just lubricates everything. It's really good for sleep. If you snore at night, sinuses, anything, it's really good for brain fog. It's just really good for keeping this cavity nice and lubricated. So that's nasya. You guys can have this on the spreadsheet when I send. Okay, so any questions? Sorry, I know that was a lot of information and everyone's probably like, this girl is crazy, but.
I have 2 questions about spices. Is garam masala, I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it,
Yeah.
but that pretty much includes all those spices. So it's good to have some of that around, I guess.
Yeah, great,
Just
yeah.
Put it in everything.
Yes, it's so good. Yeah, if you have the drum masala, yeah, it has all those spices as well. Really good.
How do you spell that?
Garam, and then masala, Masala.
G.
Garam, and then Masala.
Is that anywhere in your presentation?
It's not in the presentation, but it is a combination of all the herbs or the spices that I talked about in the presentation. All those herbs are found in there. It's just a blend. It's a pre-made blend that you can get at any store in the spice section. You can also find all the individual ones as well too, if you want to get fennel seeds, coriander seeds. But yeah, that's a good spice to do as long as you're heating up your oil in your pan first and then putting it in and letting the spice cook. And then adding in whatever afterwards. But yeah, that's a good spice to have too. It's lovely.
You can get these at any store? I mean, basically?
You can get these spices at any store. You can get fennel seeds, coriander. Next time you guys go to the store, go to the spice aisle and just look for the seeds. Yeah, they have them in powder form and seed form. I like getting the seed form because I make teas with mine as well. So the powders are fine for cooking and whatnot, but the seeds, I like to steep those. I like to boil those and then make a tea out of them. I also mix and match mine all the time. So depending on what I'm making and what I need it for. So that's why I like the individual ones. But you can get the blends too. Yeah, any store, they have them. If not, the Indian stores around the area. There's one, India Sweets and Grocery. That's a little bit off of Hawthorne and Sepulveda, just off of like, I don't know what area that, kind of in Torrance area. It's about 20 minutes from here. There's a lovely Indian store there, and you can actually buy the spices in bulk there, and they're way cheaper than at Ralph's and other places. And you can get the mung beans there too as well, if anyone wants mung beans.
You said you could look at us and tell us what dosha we were, and I know my husband is Pitta, it's very clear, but I'm curious if you're looking at me, what you think I am, because they all sounded like I had parts of them.
Yeah, you're a Pitta Vata, definitely. I can see that. I would need to chat a little bit longer with you and just get more of an information of what's going on the inside. Just by looking at you though, Vata is probably dominant in you.
That would have been my guess, except
Yeah.
I'm not, skinny like you.
But you have that small frame. I also have Pitta energy. My Vata is quite high, but my Pitta is as well. So I do have that Pitta force that's driving that growth to it. So as everyone's very unique, everyone has their own unique attributes. But yeah, sometimes you see someone and you're just like, Pitta. But sometimes I need to ask and do more thorough questions. I'd want to know about your habits, your digestion. I'd want to know about your sleep. I'd want to know about a lot of things to determine the patterns. But I would just by looking at you, I would think Vata would be your dominant dosha. So yeah.
I noticed that our Western medicine is now finally coming around to the fact that they're treating the eyes like,
Sheila, you're breaking up.
oh,
Can you repeat?
wait a minute. I think maybe there's two things on here and I need to figure out how to turn one off. I think that's what's happening. Let me see. Anyway, I was saying that I think Western medicine is caught up to the idea that we need to be treated as an individual body. So they're starting to examine, more. And like I noticed some of my friends that have been in cancer treatments lately, they're very much individualizing the treatments, not just saying, okay, breast cancer, you take this and whatever. And I think that's catching up with the Eastern medicine that I think I truly believe in a lot of the things that you are saying, and we need to do more of it in the West.
Yeah, the two need to run parallel with each other beautifully and work together. I think the whole world is catching up with the fact that it's not working. We're all sick and tired of being sick and tired and just having a pill for every ill, and it's not working. It's working to a point, but then it's not working. Yeah, they need to blend together, and we all need to work together, and just, small shifts as well, everybody. It's not an overnight thing. I've been doing this for 9, 8, I don't know, a lot of years now, and I'm still probably only 70% Ayurvedic living. I'm 30%, I'm still doing the old habits. It's
Do you
small
have
shifts.
do you have any books that you might recommend?
I do, and if everyone just drops their emails down, I will send everybody my presentation, and I'll send you out some books. And there's a really good Intro to Ayurvedic cooking book. There's a really good Intro to Ayurveda as well that breaks it down. I can also recommend a course as well that my teacher has. It's a 50-hour online, so you do it at your own pace, and it's just a 50-hour foundations of yoga. It's just going to tap into deeper than what I've said now. You don't have to do that just if you're feeling called. You can also email me and schedule a consultation if you'd like. If you book or if you email me, let me know you were a part of this today, and I'm going to give everybody a little discount to come in. And if you want to try the Abhyanga treatment as well, it's the Ayurvedic massage, the full oiling of the body as well. I'm offering that. So just email me. Oh, it doesn't smell like sesame. It has a lovely smell to it. There's herbs and stuff in it, so it smells very earthy and very lovely.
Sheila, I'll send you Allie's email address.
Okay, well, and I put my email in the chat.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
all right, I'll write it down.
I have just one other question. You didn't mention anything about Tabasco and hot sauces
Yeah,
in
because
the cooking. Are they no-nos?
those are no-nos. Yes, they're heating. They're very heating. Very heating. Yeah, those are no-nos every day. Occasionally, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, occasionally, yes, it's okay. Those fall under the 20% of the fun stuff that you want to eat. It wouldn't fall under the staple in your diet. No, unfortunately not. And I know we love our hot sauces here in Southern California, but no, occasionally. Moderation is key.
Thank you so much, Allie. We really
you.
appreciate your coming.